Hello? Okay, I'm going to do my checks and make sure everything is working properly, and we'll be ready to go. We got to be ready to go. So let me just, I hope you had a great day today. And we are planning on having a very good meeting today, as usual. A very good podcast. Oh, I'm in the house. Planning on having excellent. A very good meeting. Excellent. Okay, I'm there. And we just got one more check to do. And to make sure that everything is good to go. Then I just need to go over here and to do this and this. Oh, and I'm in the house. Excellent. Okay, we're here. I would like to welcome everyone to the podcast today. This is not the cat's in the picture, and this is Knowledge from Beyond. And this is our podcast for today. We got a very interesting podcast, something which is super deep, super heavy. You might need a beer after this one. But anyway, we're talking about Agartha. Okay, the secret land inside the earth. Now, a lot of people don't know about this subject. Most people just know about hollow earth. And we have talked about hollow earth before, but today we're going to go a lot deeper and not only talk about just that the earth is hollow and all of that, but go into who lives down there and what in the hell is going on down there. So this is very, very deep. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about what Agartha is. Okay. Agartha is you know me. I like to go back to the beginning. We got to go back. How far back we're going to go? To the Garden of Eden, to the Anunnaki. How far back are we going to go? We're going all the way back to where the Earth formed. The Earth formed around 4.5 billion years ago, and the Earth formed. It formed as a ball, and the continent's been sliding around, and you know that, and whatever. And we always thought that we lived on the surface, and the Earth is solid. But what a lot of scientists is thinking about today is that since the Earth formed it formed as a ball of rotating matter that was spinning, that just like anything else that spins, it has pockets on the inside. It may not be a continuous void all the way around, but there are pockets inside the earth. And this is talked about from the earliest teachings, writings of the Anunnaki. Okay. Remember when the Anunnaki came here, their records. The Anunnaki said that when they came here, man didn't even exist yet. When they came here, the earth, the old ones was here. Leather skin and clover feet. So they was here when the dinosaurs was here. And they worked with them. How do you work with dinosaurs? I don't have the slightest idea. And they worked with them until they rebelled, okay, and blasphemed against the gods. Now, why did they even come here, the Anunnaki? The Anunnaki came here from their planet Nibiru because they needed gold for their atmosphere. So they crossed the broken bracelet, which we talked about before, and they entered our solar system. The broken bracelet is the belt is the belt of particles that surround our solar system. It's not the asteroid belt, it's the Kepler belt. Okay. And they crossed into our solar system, and that's why they counted the planets from the outside coming in, and they found the earth, and they was looking for a supply of gold. And they tested the waters, and they found microscopic gold in the water. So at that time, they was mining the oceans for gold, according to their records. They was taking the microscopic gold out of the ocean. How you do that? I don't have the slightest idea. Did they have giant vacuum cleaners that was removing billions of gallons out of the oceans, taking the gold out and putting it back? I wasn't there. But for a primitive people of 6,000 years ago to be writing crazy stuff like this is really deep. So they worked with the old ones, the dinosaurs, until the dinosaurs blasphemed against gods and they was destroyed from the surface of their world and chased into their underground caves. What do you mean the dinosaurs had underground caves? This is something that we don't know about. But a lot of books, from Jules Verne to a lot of these movies, always talk about, when they always talk about Hollow Earth, they always talk about, well, when you talk about Hollow Earth, and people that have seen glimpses of it and reports of it, they always talk about mammoths and giant beasts inside. Okay. And what this goes all the way back to the Sumerian text, where they say that dinosaurs was chased into their underground caves. So we, according to science, dinosaurs came out of the water and came onto land. That is how dinosaurs got to be on the surface of the earth. They was first in the oceans, and then they became reptiles, and then they became on the land. According to the Sumerian myths and the Anunnaki, the dinosaurs came from underground, and through cave systems they entered the surface of the earth. And they exterminate and according to their records, they exterminated the dinosaurs from the surface of the world, from our world, and drove them into their underground caves. That's mind blowing right there. Okay. So we don't even know about that. Okay. That was written thousands and thousands of years ago. That's just mind blowing just thinking about it. So, if that is correct, the dinosaurs live inside the earth, and through the cave system, that's how they come outside. But that's exactly what they show in the Godzilla movies and everything, that these monstrous beasts is inside the earth and they come out. You get what I'm saying? Amazing. We're going on. Okay. So this is where and then mammals was brought here. Now after the old ones was destroyed, they needed new workers. The Anunnaki refused to work because they thought the work was hard, and so they needed a worker. So they took primitive man and they tried to change us into a worker race. And they experimented with us. This is why there's so many Homo pithecus, all these different type of, primitive ape, man type creations. Okay. Homo erectus, Homo pithecus, you could go on and on and on. Because according to their record, they tried everything until they was almost on the verge of giving up, and they decided to put one of the eggs from the ape creatures into one of their women, and that's how the alpha was created. What we call today the atom. Now, back to Hollow Earth. Now, the next time we hear in the ancient books about this underground cave system is when man and the gods lived together. And Zeus had his red horses and his red heifers. And those animals was considered holy and sacred. And anyone that killed one of Zeus's red horses or heifers would receive the wrath of the gods. And people kept messing with these red animals. So Zeus made a place for them. It says in the old books that Zeus carved out a place in the earth for them. so they could have sanctuary. What does it mean to carve out a place? We don't have no idea what that means. Okay. Then later on, Zeus's son Apollo established his summer home beyond the north wind in a place called Hyperbole, which is beyond the North Pole. And he greatly expanded it. What does that mean? We do not know. Now, you just say, but Lynn, you're just talking crazy. These are these God myths. That doesn't make any sense. But this is the exact same story that you get from the Eskimos that live in Alaska. When you ask them, and you get from the Inuits that live in Greenland and in northern Canada, when you ask them where they came from, they point towards the north. So we wrote in all the books that they came from Russia. But when you go to Russia and ask the Inuits over there and the Eskimos, where did they come from? They point towards the north. These people don't know where they came from. According to their legends, they lived in a paradise of ice and snow beyond the pole until they was driven out to where they live today. What does that mean? Okay. These are crazy stories. The next time we hear this crazy story, when Hitler was around. And Hitler was doing his Wagner plays. And Hitler was always talking about where the Aryan race came from. Because he was trying to say that the barbarians that the Romans was talking about, these people that wore animal skins and had axes, those was not the Aryans. And the Wagner plays always talked about the same thing, that the Aryan race came from Atlantis. Oh, we heard of Atlantis before. That's that island paradise. Not the Nazi Atlantis was not an island paradise. According to Hitler and the Nazis, Atlantis was beyond the North Pole and it was a paradise of ice and snow. And they lived beyond the north wind until they became contaminated by these short people with big noses, and they was driven out to where they live today. These are very strange stories. But then that's crazy. When Napoleon was trying to, Napoleon was trying to take over Europe. While he was fighting the British and the Russians, he sent people to the North Pole. They went as far up as they could go. They was trying to find the opening. What was that all about? See, Napoleon was into a lot of secret groups and secret societies. That's the reason when he was trying to conquer the French, the British and the Russians and everybody else, and the Germans, he took over Egypt. But he, instead of taking an army to Egypt, which he did, he took 200 scientists with him. And the British in Egypt, they was using the mummies for toilet paper and for firewood. Did you know that? They was burning the mummies to keep warm. They knew nothing. Napoleon went there and in a short period of time discovered how to read Egyptian, how to do that. Those people seemed to know where everything was located. They found the Rosetta Stone. They was doing everything. What was that all about? Back to Hitler again. Before World War II, Hitler was not only, Hitler annexed a large portion of the South Pole to Germany. Hitler had people in South America. Hitler had people in the western parts of the United States. Hitler had people in Tibet. Okay. Hitler had soldiers all the way in Africa going in caves and everything. Now, if he's fighting a war against the Russians and the British, what was all of that about? And it was not until the 1960s that we discovered some top secret bases that the Nazis had as far up near the North Pole as you can get. And we still don't know what they was doing there, but there seemed to have been around 100 or 200 Nazis, scientists, that was near the as far north as you could get at that time. According to Hitler, the earth was hollow. And he was in contact with people that was inside the earth. These people that was called the Vril, the Vril. And that word is not even a German word. You come across that word in India, in Sanskrit. Back a long time ago, Indian gods used to have real power, Vril, and they had rods. These little rods that they had in their hands that would stick out. It was like a stick that had two balls on either end. Those are called veil rods. And from those veil rods, they could knock down cities and lightning bolts would come out. And those are called veil rods. The German veil rods that they talked about was these people that lived inside the earth. And the Germans said they had hollow, they carried hollow tubes, and from those hollow tubes with push buttons. And those hollow tubes with push button could either destroy things or create things. Very, very, very strange. Okay. Now we had Admiral Byrd to go over there. And he supposedly, at the end of World War II, there was a lot of people missing when Germany fell, and Berlin fell, and the war was over. We estimated there was thousands and thousands of people missing. And certain people who was looking for, a lot of those SS people, a lot of those weird scientists that was working, uh, you know, a lot of those special kids that the Nazis was creating, the new Aryan race, we wanted to round those people up. We didn't find a single one of them. Okay. And even though Germany was surrounded on all sides during the end of the war, in 1946, as soon as the war was over, you know, there was hundreds of thousands of Germans in Argentina and Chile and way over there. And how did they get over there near the end of the war? In 40 and 45 and 44, 45, how did millions of Germans leave Germany and go to South America? And the war ended in 1945. German U-boats were still surrendering in 1946 and 1947 in the South Atlantic. That is why we sent an aircraft carrier task force to the South Pole. in 1947, and they suffered heavy losses. I guess the penguins was attacking them or whatever. Okay. There is so much we don't know about our own world. Okay. So much we don't know. But this land been talked about for a very long time. Not only by the Nazis, not only by these other people, but if you go to Tibet, another thing you don't know, when we captured Hitler's bunker, there was Tibetan monks and dead Tibetan monks in his bunker. What was dead Tibetan monks doing in Hitler's bunker? And there was lots of German soldiers in Tibet. This is one of the reasons we let China invade Tibet at the end of in 1946 and 47. Because what was they doing over there? According to the Dalai Lama, there in the capital of Tibet, Lhasa, that is one of the main entrances to get to downstairs. And according to them, just like everyone else, there's a civilization below our feet that we don't know about. And it's not only the people of Tibet that know about these people. These secret places or secret cities are known all over the world. And we know what we've been trying to do is to gather information about this place. Let me tell you another strange story. See, this is how you know if something weird is going on. If it's just in one part of the world, you can say there's some crazy people here or there. But when you have crazy people all over the world talking crazy, this is when you know that something's not right. Let me tell you two crazy stories. In Thailand, there's an ancient story about a king that these half human, half, they called them lizard people, was coming out of the caves and kidnapping people and taking them into the caves and eating them. And this one Tibetan king raised an army and he went into the caves and he fought and defeated them and pushed them very deep into the caves. There's a story that is told in Necronomicon that people thought was fictional about there's a city in the desert in Saudi Arabia that doesn't exist anymore. But it was a giant city in the desert. This city was very big and very powerful, but people kept coming up missing in the city. And finally they found out that there was creatures that lived below the ground. They would come up, snatch people and take them underground. So finally the ruler of the city took an army and they fought those people underground and pushed them back and deep into their caves. But in the war the city was destroyed, and at the end of the war, they decided to abandon the city. Around 10 years ago, they discovered a giant city in the desert of Saudi Arabia. And no one knows about that city. And what it was it doing there and why was it abandoned? See, you can talk to people, they try to tell you things, we don't want to listen. The Hopi Indians in America talk about during the last deluge, when the earth was destroyed by water, they was led underground and fed and protected by the ant people. According to the legends, in the four corner area of the United States, the Azasazi Indians used to live in that area. And they was very powerful. And they lived there for hundreds and hundreds of years until a drought came and their land started to die and become a desert. And there was thousands, some of those cities over there, they think had a population as much as 100,000 people. And according to the legends, they went underground. But then these are all legends. Do you know we have picked up radio signals coming from inside the earth? We don't know what's down there. There's another story that's in the Urantia book that talked about long time ago, before the war, our planetary capital used to be located on an island. And on that island, it had a crystal city. And that is where the Council of 100 met. That the 100 was the rulers of the 100 great tribes that ruled the earth. They met there. Okay. And they met with who there? They met with the ruler of our world, whoever that is. But in the war, the city was destroyed and the island was destroyed and sunk. That sounds like the exact same story of Atlantis, about this crystal city on an island. And that city, they say, was rebuilt inside the earth. Let's talk about another crazy story, since we're going around the world talking crazy stories. In Hinduism, the Hindu Bible is called the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Most people don't know that the Bhagavad Gita is actually a place. The Bhagavad Gita, see, the Bhagavad Gita is a cave inside the earth. Hindus worship there. See, our heaven is this direction. Hindu heaven is this way. They talk about in their religion the seven caves of the Nagashas, the walking snakes. And Bhagavad is their main cave where the Nagashas live. And it talks about the Nagash, that their home was very dark. And their home was very, the conditions was extremely bad. But after they became trapped down there, how did they become trapped down there? I don't know. Okay. They, through technology, they changed their world. And now their world is a lit world. It's no longer dark. And their world is now a paradise. And the beauty of their world, There's nothing on the outside of the world that matches the beauty of the inside of the seven caves of the Nagashis. Okay. That's what Admiral Byrd talked about. He saw this city and how it was lit and the walls was lit and all of this stuff. Okay. For those who like these Marvel movies and you like to see Thor always running off to Asgard all the time, what you don't know is Asgard is not this direction. Asgard is this direction. Look it up. Asgard is the inside of the earth. It's not that way, it's this direction. The same thing with the Lord of the Rings. When they talk about the Battle of Middle Earth, the Middle Earth is, according to the old legends, they thought we lived inside of a ball. The Middle Earth was the surface of the earth, is Middle Earth. The inside is where the gods live, and the ancient people, they didn't understand stars. They thought this that that there was a covering at night that came, a veil. And dots in the veil was what we call stars. And that is how they was able to see what we was doing at night. They was able to see through the veil, through the dots in the veil. Okay. That's the reason these flat earth people talk about the filament, and that is the curtain. Okay. We're definitely not talking hollow earth today. Okay. That's okay. We can only handle so much craziness at one time. Today we're limiting the craziness to hollow earth. Okay. Flat earth, we'll talk about that. We've talked about it before. We'll finish that again. But there is proof. And we have found this is what the Pentagon released in their report about UFOs. Most of that report was done by the Navy. How the Navy keep seeing all of this crazy stuff coming out of the ocean. You know, we have something called nuclear submarines. And our nuclear submarines stay like a mile deep. This is where the opening they say it is on the map. You know, our nuclear submarines try to play hide and seek. So the Russians can't find them and blow them up. They try to be in parts of the ocean where nobody goes. And since they stay a mile deep and only have to surface every, 4 to 6 months, they try to hide out somewhere. So you're a mile and a half deep and you're, 1,000 miles off the nearest shipping lane, and nobody knows you're out there. You're out there hiding. In case of World War III, nobody can blow you up and you can launch your missiles. Okay. The Navy have something called anomaly books. They record all kind of strange stuff when they're out there in the middle of nowhere. Okay. They're sailing along, cruising at 30 miles an hour. Ooh, that's really fast. You get what I'm saying, don't you? And they're a mile deep in the ocean. And something a mile or two below them go past them doing several hundred miles an hour. And some of these things are humongous in size. It's just going the anomaly book. It's probably not Russian. It definitely ain't Chinese. It's just going the book. And then they see these things rising out of the ocean and diving into the ocean and everything. They don't know what these things are. And the Navy finally admitted in their last report that these things are real. They did not come to a conclusion of what these things are. but they have acknowledged that these things can be picked up on radar, they can be tracked, but they come and go. Now, if according to the God myths, what happened was that, which goes all the way back to an event in history, the Battle of Troy was started because Zeus was a lover of women and he was screwing around, and his screwing around started a war between Greece and the city of Troy, Athens and the city of Troy, which started a war among the gods. And over that problem, Zeus was sent to the underworld and Apollo took over. Okay. Remember, gods are not supposed to be able to, are, according to us, they can't die. They're just sent to the underworld. We really don't know what that means. Okay. I guess that means they're not around anymore. So if you kill somebody, you didn't kill them, you just sent them to the underworld. Just remember that. But anyway, Apollo took over, and Apollo wanted separation between the gods and man. He withdrew all the gods to his summer home. And this summer home's supposed to be where the giants are located. Okay. We're talking about giants in a different day, but all these people around the world always describe, there was a very famous book that was written about two fishermen that wandered into this area when they was fishing off the coast of Russia back in the 1800s, and they wrote a book about their travel inside the earth, and they came across these giants inside the earth and all of this stuff, and they met the ruler and everything, and these giants was huge, 30, 40 feet tall, and they had red hair. You keep coming across these red haired giants in North America. Remember, the American Indians talk about when they first came to Turtle Island, the United States, the Americans, what Turtle Island is what the Indians call North America. They said it was ruled by the giants. And the giants first tolerated the Indians until their numbers kept increasing. And then the and then friction broke out between the giants and the Indians. Okay. And they was fighting over food and resources. And the giants started to devour the Indians. They was eating them for food. This is the same story that is in the Bible. And the Indians fought the giants and pushed them back into their caves. Isn't that a weird story? We keep hearing things being pushed back into caves. And the Indians talk about these red haired giants and how they pushed them back into their caves. And then when people go inside, they talk about there's giants inside the earth. And they don't say that there's dinosaurs and giant animals. They say inside the earth there are animals that resemble mammoths and prehistoric animals. They're not dinosaurs and prehistoric animals. They're just giant animals that resemble mammoths and prehistoric animals. You see how we like to do a war on words where we like to confuse you. Okay. Also, a lot of our alien friends, when we track our UFOs, do you know? the North and South Pole have more UFO activity than anywhere else in the world. What are they doing over there? Having a conference? Is that the opening where they come in and out? According to the books, that inside land, see, we don't know if it's a continuous area inside or if there's several pockets or is there giant spaces. We don't know because they won't allow us in there. But from what the book says is that they're not inside the earth singing a giant a kumbaya. They're not exactly getting, everything in there is separated. The giants live in certain areas. What they call the Nagash or the lizard people live in certain areas. The gods live in certain area. Everybody live in their section. Okay. And I guess that's how they keep the peace down there. You stay in your area, I stay in my area. Okay. You don't bother me, I don't bother you. Surprised we can't do that up here. Up here we like to invade people's area. Okay. And they've been content to leave us alone. And we, I guess, left them alone. But now something changed. It changed. Everything goes back to 45, 46, 47. Because when we started playing with nuclear power, the people on the inside started getting kind of nervous. That is the only thing that they're kind of afraid of. Because now the crazies have a weapon that can affect them. See, as long as we was on the surface doing what we wanted to do, they could care less. We was just the crazies that lived on the surface and they lived on the inside. But now that we got, you know, weapons that bother them, now they're starting to stick their heads up. Now they're talking about in the future we need to be together again. On the surface, they're still not going to let us downstairs. That is their area. But this is where the opening is located, above Greenland, near Russia. Okay. And no planes are allowed to fly over that area. And that area is listed on very old maps that you're seeing on that picture there. It's called the Point of Inaccessibility. Okay. You don't see that mark on new maps, but if you look in old atlases from the 1960s, 1950s, and before, there's an X at that spot that says Point of Inaccessibility. Is the point that cannot be reached. What that means. And at the South Pole, there is a point of inaccessibility, which is marked on old maps that cannot be reached. How can there be a spot on the earth that cannot be reached? And this is what old sailors in the 1800s couldn't figure out. They kept trying to reach the North Pole and they could get up to the 85th, the 86th parallel. And once they started getting, they could sail for weeks and they never could get to the 90th parallel. Okay. That's the reason there's this point of inaccessibility. So I've been talking about this area, but we're supposed to be so this area inside the earth, if it's one continuous area or just pockets, it is considered, it goes by different names, but the most popular English name that it goes by is Agartha. Okay, that is the old Hindu name, Agartha. And the capital of Agartha is Shambhala or Shangri-La, or in South America, it was called Bahala. Okay, that name is universal around the world as the city of the gods. That was the name of the underground in Central and South America. That was where you go when you die. You go to Bahala. Okay, not Valhalla, but Bahala or Baha. Yes, but Bahala, Shambhala, Shangri-La is all the same. That is the supposed capital of our world, of the inner world. And this inner world supposedly has some weird features. It is lit. That's what the Hindus talked about. This world used to be dark. This is one of the pictures of what the Germans was looking for. These people that looked at like this, what these called these virile people, VRIL. They was extremely pale, and they are the servants of the gods. But then there's only one God. How can they be a servant of the gods if there's only one? If you go all the way back to that book of Genesis, it talks about this. Remember when the sons of God came down? They did a lot of bad things. They married women, they had giants, they did everything. And then it talks about in the book of Enoch that when they devoured all the food, they started to eat man. And the angels went and talked to God. And they said, "You know all things. Don't you know what your sons are doing upon the earth? Don't you know of the bloodshed that they're spilling? Aren't you aware?" God did not answer. God just said, "Go east of the garden and dig a giant pit. Chain them." He named them by names. "Put them in the pit and put sharp stones upon them until they can no longer see the light." That place is called Tartaru. Okay. And in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it talked about how you can go in there's a place. I'll tell you how to get there. Okay. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it talks about if you go to the Great Pyramid in Egypt, and if you go to that bottomless pit at the bottom of the pyramid, if you descend down there, the bottomless pit, it will take you to the Great Hall where the old ones are laid out. And their bodies are like stone, but you can hear them in your head. And they are dreaming dead dreams. Okay. And they are still alive, but they can no longer move. See, I think all these stories are putting together a puzzle. Different people all over the world talk about the same event, but they're describing it differently. Is this world where these creatures was put long time ago, where those giants who survived, because the Bible said that there was giants in the land from that day onward. We just doesn't see them anymore because they was driven into their underground caves. Just like the dinosaurs was driven into their underground caves. Everything's being driven in the underground caves. Okay. And these cave systems, we don't understand. The other day, the cave system in the Mammoth Cave, that cave go hundreds of miles underground. There's a cave system in South America from Peru that goes hundreds of miles underground. And people and explorers go into the caves. And it's like a roach motel. You go in, most people never come back out. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And these cave systems, there's a giant cave system in Thailand. Maybe that's the cave that legend is about. Okay, we don't know. In India, there is a lake, a holy lake, where they put lilies in the water because they say underneath that lake is one of the caves of the Nagashas. And underneath the lake is one, and the mountains around the lake is one of the entrances if you know the secret words to enter to get down there. Today we know underneath that lake is one of the largest cave systems in the world. We have found an opening, a cavern. We are not able to go down there, but we estimate that cavern is 50 miles by 200 miles at a depth of like 50 miles beneath the surface. How did people in India know about that? There's so much we don't know about our own planet. The Earth is 2,400 miles in diameter. If you was to drill, you would have to get 1,200 miles to get to the center of the Earth, supposedly. The deepest drill ever drilled was in Russia. They drilled 7 miles deep. We have no idea. I am not going to tell you what, a lot of people that talk about this subject want to tell you what inside and see, we really don't know. We only have bits and pieces of stories of people that have went in the caves and met giants and this and that and have went in there and seen things and bird going in there and seeing circular craft and Operation High Jump where these round being craft was breaking out of the ice and attacking our ships and everything. We know very little. Okay. And this is why Antarctica you're not allowed to visit. Okay. Because we found out where all those missing Germans were at after World War II. Germany had a top secret base in Antarctica called Base 224. Okay. Which is now a city. I'm not going to say any more than that. Okay. New Berlin. There's a lot of things you don't need to know. But the Bible says, in the end, all things will be revealed. And this is the mystery of all mysteries. Let's talk about some other weird statements. Admiral Byrd, which is the first man who flew supposedly beyond the pole and reached the South Pole, he said that the land beyond the pole is greater than all of the Americas put together. Now, if you go beyond the North Pole, how can it be a land greater than all of the Americas? Unless he's talking in code and talking about the inside. We have no idea. And like with him, when people start talking crazy, they have accidents. See, we want to go out and looking for things. But to find our alien friends, to find all this stuff that's going on, we think that all this stuff is going on in deep space and a black hole and this and that, and they're coming from like years away. A lot of this stuff is coming from right below our feet. We don't even know it. That's where the opening at the South Pole is located. Okay. So there's just so much we don't understand. Okay. But we're not allowed to know. And when you look at very old maps of the North Pole or the South Pole, they show, especially in Greenland and whatever, it shows the cities, it shows the mountaintops, the peaks and everything. Most maps today, they just show a grid over the whole thing. They don't show no features. And even with the old maps that showed the mountain peaks, which I have done, I must own at least 10 atlases. When you compare one atlas to another atlas, all the mountain peaks is in different places. We don't know where the mountain peaks are. But if you look at any map to map, and you look at any other place, they all show where the mountain peaks are in the exact same place, one atlas to the other atlas. But when you go to Greenland or to the South Pole, the mountain peaks keep moving and is in different places in each book. And in today's books, they don't even want to play the game. They just put a grid or make the whole thing white, and they don't even show you the mountain peaks anymore. I guess we're not supposed to know. I guess it's none of our business. Okay. And planes are not allowed to fly over the South Pole. Planes are not allowed to fly over the North Pole. They must go around the North Pole. Nothing is allowed to go over. Very, very strange. And someone asked me, am I saying Valhalla? We did a show in Valhalla. That Valhalla is different. We're talking about Shangri-La or Valhalla. Valhalla is where the that was the sacred place to the Mayan and the Aztec Indians. That was their royal cave in Mexico. They discovered most of it is underwater now, but their underwater cave that led to the underworld was this cave system that they discovered that went. They have explored at least 20 miles of it so far. How far that thing goes, no one knows. And that was to them when you died, that's how you entered the underworld, is through that cave. But most of the cave today is underwater. Okay. But all over the world, people know about these underground people. Oh, and since I didn't mention Africa, Africa talks about them too. Africa talk about these people that have lizard people that live underneath the earth. Okay. And how they, you don't go in their areas, and how ruthless they are, and how powerful they are. I just wanted to touch a little bit because I only had an hour. I'm already over time about this subject. You can talk forever and ever. You need to do some research on your own. You got homework this week. You need to start digging. You need to start looking into this stuff. And if you think I'm talking crazy, prove me wrong. But if you open Pandora's box and start looking into some of the things I mentioned today, you're not going to be sleeping very good much longer. I've been having nightmares for a very long time. I'm a Gnostic. I read a lot of crazy stuff that makes me dizzy for a very long time. But this is the only way we're going to get some answers. If you're interested in joining the quest, one day we need to, I don't say go down there, we might screw it up. But it would be nice if they remove the veil. And if we don't even know our own planet, how can we ever try to move beyond our world? My name is Lynn Livesey. I'm your full spectrum Gnostic. This subject was kind of deep. I hope you enjoyed it. It gives you something to think about. Share this and do some investigation of your own. I look forward to seeing everyone. I'm here on the Spirit Realm on Sundays and on Wednesdays. You can look me up on my Facebook page. I'm on Facebook. I'm everywhere. And there's other shows on the Spirit Realm too. Enjoy those shows also. I want you to have a very nice afternoon, and I look forward to seeing everybody again very soon. Thank you so much. I'm out of here. Bye.